Shalom, dear friends. Wonderful to be with you. We are going to have again a very exciting program. And today we are going to look at the restoration of what's happened here in Israel. Sometimes I like to say she was like a sleeping beauty, and like she's been kissed again by her people who are coming back here, and suddenly a lot of things are happening here. So today we're having Linda. Linda, thank you so much for coming. Linda Reiss-Wolicki. She was from Monsey, New York in the USA. She studied at the Cardozo School of Law in New York, and she worked 5 years in criminal law in Queens.
District Attorney's Office.
Yeah. And then she made Aliyah with her family in 1993. And so she came in Israel, and we're going to ask her, why did you move to Beit Shemesh?
Okay. So first, I did not make Aliyah with my family. I made Aliyah on my own.
All right.
On my own.
Okay.
I had already worked in the District Attorney's Office for over 5 years. I decided to move to Israel, and I made Aliyah on my own.
Wow, so this was a brave step.
I was 29 years old. So now everyone could figure out exactly how old. Right. So why did I make Aliyah? Because I always had a feeling of attachment to Israel. I grew up in a religious household in Monsey, and all the time we spoke about Israel and our connection to the Bible, to the Tanakh. And I came to Israel on a visit a few times. I even studied here for 1 year, and I felt a connection with the land itself, not just with the people. The people is a different issue, that's a cultural thing, but I felt actually a draw to the land itself. And in fact, if I can, I was reading some letters that I wrote back to my parents when I was 20, and I was here studying for the year in Bar Ilan University. And what struck me now, looking back over it, is that I wrote how the rocks, I actually wrote this, I must have been very descriptive, the beautiful letter that I wrote, and it says how I feel this connection with the rocks of the land. When I see the rocks, I knew nothing about archaeology at the time, I knew nothing about conservation, and yet I felt there was some pull to the land. Yeah.
Isn't it interesting? You can have things for so long and suddenly it's maturing.
And then it, right.
Exactly. So why Beit Shemesh? Why did you choose Beit Shemesh?
Why did I choose? It was actually chosen for me.
Okay.
I met my husband, Reiss-Wolicki. He had an apartment.
Which is interesting because he's the brother of
Reiss-Wolicki. Yes,
we've done some program with him.
When I met him, he had an apartment already in Beit Shemesh. And actually, Beit Shemesh was just starting out. It was a very small community, did not have many English speakers. It was considered a poor town, and the English speakers, the Anglo-Saxons, as they would call them, the Anglos, were just starting to move in. And actually,
so this was when?
This was in 1995.
1995, okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Because I heard that I was looking a bit at Beit Shemesh. It was only started in 1950 with immigrants.
That's right.
So it's interesting to see.
No, it's very interesting. So it was the immigrants and this whole new English-speaking population that moved in. That was it. It was a very, very small group, 30,000 people.
Wow.
Very, very
Because
few
now
people.
you are 130?
Yeah, 130. Amazing. Oh, it has grown beyond belief. It's absolutely incredible. Right.
So
he had an apartment, so I actually told him in the beginning, I said, any place but Beit Shemesh. I wanted to go live in the hills, I wanted to live on a moshav, I wanted to live, out with the nature. But he had an apartment. He said, you know what, we'll start here in Beit Shemesh and we'll see how it's going. And we have become, both he and I and my whole family now, and all the children were born here, have become an integral part of Beit Shemesh. It's grown into me. It's part of me now.
Wow. So this is very exciting because it's like with the restoration of a place. Now maybe give a bit just of the history of Beit Shemesh, because it's exciting to see how it was before, sleeping time, and then now rising up.
Well, now it's
again.
rising. Look, because of all the Anglo population that moved in, and also the ultra-Orthodox population found Beit Shemesh to be very compatible for their needs. So it really has expanded beyond anybody's belief. And now, because of the last elections, we have a new mayor. Also, as you know, you met her, Dr. Aliza Bloch, who was a principal of one of the biggest schools, high schools in Beit Shemesh, and she won many awards because of the excellence of the school and the programs that she ran. She now became mayor. The city beforehand had an ultra-Orthodox mayor. And beforehand there was a concentration more on different aspects of the city. She has brought a whole new view, perspective to how she wants the city to look and to feel, and it's absolutely incredible. You can feel it. You can feel every person feels that they are on a journey with her to make Beit Shemesh a better place.
Wonderful. I went over there, France, and I can tell you the buzz in this town hall was like, I never felt like it was like, okay, we are going to do something, and there was really a buzz. Wonderful.
So when you saw, I mean, if I could bring into my exhibit, how did I get, involved at all?
How did you go from law to archaeological?
Right, how did I go to So why did I mention the rocks to begin with? When I mentioned all those years ago, 30 years ago, when I wrote to my parents, I said the rocks speak out to me. I studied in Bar Ilan University, Near Eastern Studies, Biblical History also, and I loved it. But I was convinced. I went back to the States, and I studied law, I became a district attorney, but Israel always pulled something to me. I came back to Israel, I got married, and I had children, and I worked in different law firms and opened up my own practice finally, not in criminal, not criminal practice, and but always there was some pull to do something else. And I always, archaeology and conservation, something was in the back of my mind. A few years ago, my daughter was looking into colleges. And this is what I say, how there is hashgacha pratit, divine, I don't know what you call supervision, providence, something that guides you in life, right? Something divine that guides you. And you don't see it until at the very, you finish the process, till after. But looking back, you see how clear it is. A few years ago, I went with her to a college fair. And she got a book of all the different courses that you can take in Israel and all the colleges or universities. And she was looking through it, and I said, you know what, let me look at it. Let me see if I would go back to school, what would I study? So what would I study? I was helping her out. We were sitting in the bus station, and I looked through it, and there was a little word that popped out at me. It was all in Hebrew that said Shimor. It was in the University of Haifa, and there was something called Shimor, a course of studies. Conservation in English. And I said, well, what could that be? I looked it up, I came home, and it stayed in my mind. I looked it up, I came home, and I saw it was a conservation of cultural material heritage. Material cultural heritage. Things that man created. How do we conserve it? And something spoke to me. It took me weeks till I had enough courage, because I was already 52 years old. I thought, who's going to take me into college to start a whole new degree, and I'm a lawyer. But I wrote to the head of the department, Dr. Ravit Lean, who is an expert in her field in art conservation. And they accepted me to the course. And I'm now in my third year. I'm now at my thesis stage. And that's it. And it's been this year is my year to write my thesis. And it was just absolutely fascinating. It combines archaeology, it combines history, it combines conservation, restoration of sites, of items, of art. It was absolutely fascinating. So how did I get to Beit Shemesh? One of the things we had to do as part of the course was to take a project on ourselves, internship. And I've always wanted to give something back to Beit Shemesh. I've always wanted to work to make Beit Shemesh a little bit better. So I thought to myself, something that always bothered me about Beit Shemesh was that we're sitting in one of the most archaeologically rich areas in the entire Israel.
So there is like David and Goliath?
David and Goliath from Emek Ha'elah, the Valley of Elah, is there. All the places that are mentioned in the Bible, many of them, the Philistines. Whenever they mention the Philistines, Ekron.
Oh, that's it, with the ark.
With the ark, exactly. The ark came through Beit Shemesh. And we learn these stories. The Beit Shemeshians, as we can call them, we're all sitting on this amazingly rich history, and yet they don't even know what they're sitting on. And I knew that there was a Tel Beit Shemesh. If you saw it, there are pictures.
Yeah, and Tel means that it's like the ruins, isn't it?
There is ruins built on ruins. So you see them all over Israel. You'll see a hill, and if you go on top of the hill, you'll see all kinds of shards of pottery, different things. And they uncover layers of a Tel. Oh, that's right. That's actually all right. So it's this amazing. So Tel Beit Shemesh has been around, forever. Nobody was. They had dug it up in the 1950s, I think, 50s, 60s, maybe 70s. I don't remember. There was an initial dig. It was all covered over. All the items that were found there were shipped to Pennsylvania. They're not found, right, most items. Some items still remain. But
so
people
in Israel,
walk there.
You can bring things over there? Or I saw
at
that maybe
time,
Israel...
There was a time where there was no real regulation, and whoever dug, whoever was the university, whatever dug, they got permission, they would take it abroad. So in Pennsylvania, from what I understand, there's a small museum that has some artifacts from Tel Beit Shemesh. Tel Beit Shemesh is right next to Beit Shemesh, and it's full of archaeology, And most people go there because they have beautiful flowers in the springtime. They have beautiful red kalaniot, poppies all over, beautiful. And amongst the poppies, you see buildings, old ruins. And I was always interested in it. And I always asked people who lived in Beit Shemesh, what is this? And I found out that this was the old city of Beit Shemesh. I said, how could it be that we all live here? We read the Bible all the time, and there's no connection to it. Because how do you make a connection? You make a connection here. I bought these, from the Tel, actually, is when you're holding something in your hand, when you see something that's physical, then you can make a connection. You feel more connected to it. We have Sukkot, where we hold the palm things, and the esrog, the lemon, citrus, the citron. Pesach, we have matzah. So you hold it. And by holding these things, by touching them, we are able to connect to our past and to our history. So I thought, Beit Shemesh has nothing. There's nothing that shows what their past was. I want to make something, an exhibit. That will be my project. And
during your course?
During my course, that will be my project. And I actually brought, the head of my department connected me with the Antiquities Authority, with Dr. Orit Shamir, who was absolutely amazing, who took it upon herself to help us out with everything. She coordinated everything. And we were able to make this beautiful exhibit. You have some pictures of it, of artifacts that were found in Beit Shemesh on the Tel that actually connect with the biblical story. There are things that are there that actually touch what we read about.
Was it because also of the Road 38 that was extended, that you find more
there's
things?
all the old Tel Beit Shemesh has been there for decades. And that's where the people, I meet people who have grown up in Beit Shemesh. They say they used to play amongst the rocks. That was there, and that was excavated. What was excavated there, they found an entire city of Beit Shemesh from the 8th century BC. The road, there's a road that runs by... BCE. Yeah. There's a road that runs past the Tel. They need to expand the road now. In the past year, after I started my work with the exhibition, I thought I was going to just show things from what they found 30 years ago on the Tel Beit Shemesh. They went to expand the road. Anytime that you expand a road in Israel, there needs to be a rescue dig by archaeologists to see if there's any archaeology that's found underneath the road. And if there is, then they take it out and they cover it back up. Then they cover it up. Usually they cover it up. Because all of Israel is one big archaeological dig.
Which was your place. This is the thing that people need to know. This was your place. And you've been exiled, and now you are coming back, and you are finding the link between your Asian people and you again. This is so exciting.
It's amazing. It's absolutely amazing. But no one knew about it in Beit Shemesh. The residents of Beit Shemesh did not know anything. So they did this dig, and the dig was being funded by Tel Aviv University and also by Yehuda Guvrin, who is also an archaeologist. And what they found was amazing. And I didn't know this. How did I find this out? I happened to have been in the Antiquities Authority looking at the items that they were going to display for my exhibit. That was, by the way, it's the first time ever in the entire area of Beit Shemesh, Matei Yehuda, that there is a museum of items that were actually found in the area displayed for residents to see.
So where is it?
Until now, you had to go to the Israel Museum or to the Biblical Lands Museum. It's in the lobby of the municipal building.
Oh, okay. So
yes, I think you saw that. But you can't imagine. For you, it's two small display cases. For the residents of Beit Shemesh and for the whole area, it's the first time ever that they actually see and have it explained to them what was found.
And it's not just that. Having that is like really making them connecting more with the people, isn't it? I'm sure that
that was my whole point. We have the sentence from the Bible of how the cows were taking the Aron, taking the ark up to Beit Shemesh, and that is, if you see the pictures, you will see that there is that line from the Bible on the wall, and underneath are the artifacts that actually can connect with the Judean kingdom, with the time of Chizkiyahu and the time of Sancheriv and Menashe and Yoshiyahu, his grandson.
I read something which was fascinating for me yesterday in Aish, and they were speaking about Amelech, the king, and I was like, oh, maybe it was the king of them. But no, it was the king.
It was written in Hebrew, in ancient Hebrew. That's what they found there. And you'll see in the pictures also, if you show, that there are the handles that say Hamelech, and that's what's so amazing. But going back to the excavations, when they started to excavate to rescue, because they were going to the plan is still to pave over the entire new site, they excavated something amazing. They excavated an entire Jewish city that had come off the Tel in the 7th century and had formed a thriving, flourishing city, a city that has industrial, no longer agriculture, became an industrial city, an administrative city that was very important for the administration and for the kings at the time. And something more fascinating, they found that despite the fact that when Sancheriv came in the 701, he destroyed, I think, 46 cities in the entire region, Jewish cities. He leveled them. This was the only city. There was no signs of destruction. No signs of destruction. This changed, what they found in these new excavations, changed the way scholars are looking at that entire period of the kings.
And so, do we know?
They excavated a huge, huge area. It's a beautiful site, and they found 16 olive oil presses. They found more lamelech handles that show that it was in a very important city. They found an entirely intact city that was not destroyed on a huge area. And right now, the city and many residents of Beit Shemesh, and even I think the archaeologists also, they say, how can we destroy this for the road? And they're trying to preserve it. The residents of the city have gotten together and they have spoken with archaeologists, and they're working with the members of the government to make a tunnel under it. So there'll be one big, huge archaeological park, as opposed to destroying most of it, which is one of the most unique finds that they found, according to the archaeologists, in Israel to date.
So I'm very curious, why did they not, can we know a bit, why they didn't destroy this one?
I happened to have a talk with one of the archaeologists, Yoram Chimi, lately, and no, they do not know why. I think because it was an important city, and because it was left alone. It served the kings, and it worked with Assyria.
With the oil also?
The oil, they shipped the oil everywhere. They found traces of Beit Shemesh oil, I think, if I'm not mistaken, and any mistake is mine, I think they found it even in Egypt. That's how pure this oil was.
Wow. So like it was...
It was a very good oil. Apparently it was pure. It was a very good oil, and it was considered a very fine oil, and it was spread all out throughout the kingdom.
Wow, amazing. Now we didn't speak Beit Shemesh. It's like the house of sun.
Yes.
Do you know why it was called like that, the name?
Of the house of sun. This was a biblical name that it was given, and it was one of things here. No, I wanted to say, we're talking about divine providence also. My neighbor, who was Rabbi Avram Spector, David Avram Spector, when he came in to become the rabbi of the entire community, he wrote a book called Beit Shemesh, and he speaks about the archaeology that no one even knew about it at the time. We all looked at it and said, what archaeology? What are you talking about? So I think the fact that he was my neighbor, the fact that I had written about rocks beforehand, the fact that I brought this whole entire exhibit to Beit Shemesh, and that now people are really...
it's like the thing of Beit Shemesh really now.
Until now, Beit Shemesh has not gotten the best press and not received the best press.
Maybe people need to know because they don't know. It's like you have a lot of, it's like a microcosm of Israel. You have the poor, you have the rich, you have the veterans, you have the immigrants.
You have ultra-Orthodox and you have secular.
And the secular. So you have all this balance that you need. It's like a...
And sometimes it's a little explosive. But right now, thank goodness, Beit Shemesh is now concentrating on very positive, on moving forward in a positive manner. And this, not only, when I started the exhibit, no one knew about these findings. Now everybody, from the secular to the most ultra-Orthodox, come by the exhibit, and I see them looking at it, and they're fascinated. They said, really, this is an oil lamp? Now they understand everything that they read in the Talmud, that they read in the Bible. It comes to life. It comes to life. And if we can have an archaeological park there, it will just bring to life everything that we learn, that all of us learn.
And I think this is wonderful for the Israelis, but I think it's also very good for the world, that maybe they will have also a place for them to see and really touch. Okay, look, this was their place. They were far. They left. It was like exile, and now they are back and they are finding all these things. And this is their place. Exactly.
So I'll leave you with a thought. I mean, whatever is that Beit Shemesh has been inhabited since 2,700 years ago, throughout, continuously inhabited. Throughout times, it has never been destroyed until today, through the Ottoman, through everything, the Byzantine, Hellenistic, Byzantine, Bar Kokhba period. They have found everything from the King's period, it's the Bible coming to life, and we're actually living it. And not just that we read it every day, because my children, they go to school and they read it, they're actually living it. They're living on the land of the Bible. And here they can actually, we can touch these these items. I brought them here just to show, I don't know if this is 2,700 years old, but it might be. And it makes a connection between me and my ancestors and the people who lived here from before. It's incredible.
So when we look at all these things, you said the exhibition in the town hall. Can you tell us about specific things?
I can tell you a little bit about. First of all, these are from the site of Tel Beit Shemesh. If you go there, you can these are the discards of the site of Tel Beit Shemesh.
This was big pots.
It's a handle, and some of these handles that had writings on it, I took them because I wanted to study to see. This looks like it has a little decoration on it. It also helps me to keep connected with the land. Every time I take it out, I feel like I'm really living the Bible, and I feel like
Which is what you were saying about the rocks.
Yes, so I feel that if everyone in Beit Shemesh they shouldn't go and take antiquities, but if when they see the exhibit, that they feel that they're actually living, they're part of the past that's coming into the present, and now they know how to move into the future. And so some of the items that are exhibited, that were chosen to be exhibited, are items like this. There are jar handles that have a scarab on them. And what is the meaning of the scarab? I'll tell you, that was the symbol for the Judean monarchy. For Yehuda, that was the symbol. So you're actually touching or seeing something that you read about in the Bible of the Judean monarchy, and you actually could see it before your eyes. These were commonplace items. These were items, bowls, lamps that were used for, like we use every day. These were the things that were thrown away. But for us, it makes the Bible come alive. It makes us feel a connection to where we are and the importance of where we are. There's something else in the exhibit. There's a wine pouring set that they found almost all intact in one of the storage rooms in the first Tel Beit Shemesh from the 8th century. You see a jug, there's a sieve where they would pour wine, and it would come out into a drinking bowl. It would filter out all the impurities, and you would drink and it would be in the drinking bowl. And there was a whole ceremony attached to it that's described in the exhibit, but you can actually see, and they found it intact in one of the storerooms that they found in Old Tel Beit Shemesh. Absolutely amazing, and you come and you see it.
So was it very deep? Like when they dig these things, was it very deep?
You mean where they found it?
Yeah.
That is for the archaeologists, but you can see it was standing just in a storeroom. They just cleared out a storeroom, and it was just there. They said it was all like that. Is that incredible? Just left for someone to find.
And when you were speaking about the ruins is like, so they were ruins of houses?
Of houses, of administrative buildings. Yes. One other item that they found that's very unique, and you'll see also in the exhibit, was a game board. That was very common in the area at the time, that was played by grown-ups. Children didn't play these game boards. These were played by grown-ups, and they found a game board And you'll see, you can see the little squares. They know the name of the game. I think it's called Senet. On each side of the board was a different game. And the person who owned it etched his name into the board. And his name was Hanan, an Israeli Jewish name. A Jewish name that's still used today. So you can connect. You can kind of see over the centuries how there was a Hanan living 2,500 years ago, playing games
with his neighbors.
And here is this, right? Absolutely fascinating.
This is wonderful. And for the education for the children, like they can learn. This is not because I think sometimes when you come and you are immigrant, you know how it was before and how it is now. But when you are born in Israel, suddenly I saw some young people. It's like, oh yes, you know, it's normal, and it's like, no, it's not so. It's not so normal.
And the site of Beit Shemesh also. Just one more thing that I'd like to leave you with that I just learned yesterday that I didn't know from one of the archaeologists, is that they found many different levels. One whole level is just a Jewish town that was built on the bedrock. There's nothing below it. So far, I mean, there was nothing above it. It was just an entire city. That's what makes it so unique, this site also, that there's no levels to it. But on another part of the site, they found different strata from different periods of time. And what will be preserved is going to be the Jewish part. And they found an insula with many items from the Byzantine period that talk with the whole Christian period. So all of it's going to be preserved. And there's a Muslim period also that they're preserving part of it. So it's the history of Israel. It's not just my own personal history as an Orthodox Jew. It's a history of all peoples, because we all started from Israel, from the three religions, and they all started from Israel, and all of that is in Beit Shemesh. It's not just it's absolutely incredible and amazing.
This is amazing. And even when we think about the world, like when God created the world, it's like He started by Israel. So it's important, and it's like we are going back here to see what's happening in the town. It's amazing. Thank you for coming and speaking
so much,
with us,
Natalie. That was my pleasure.
It's wonderful.
Pleasure.
So you see, you will have more things to discover when you come in Israel here. And if you can't come, we are just showing it to you. And from Lina and from me, bye. And we love you and we bless you from Zion.